we're live.
Okay. Hello. Hopefully we're live.
Yep.
All right. Excellent. We've got a smaller group out here today. There's no PowerPoints or slides or anything to go with what we've got here. So thank you all for coming. We've got 4 out of the 5 board members here tonight. So one couldn't make it. So we'll go ahead and call this to order. First order of business is to look at our minutes from the last meeting, which we have printed out. So I'm going to take a second, take a look at them. But the idea here is to move to approve these, hopefully, or make changes as needed, and then go from there. So does anyone want to make an order to approve our minutes from the last meeting?
I will. Yeah.
Okay. Second. All right. All those in favor of approving the minutes from our last meeting, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Any opposed? No? All right. So they passed. That's all approved, and we can forget about the minutes from our last meeting. So thank you for that. So really the big thing today was to discuss everybody that came. We've got a proposed budget, and on the back of this we've got a proposed high-level kind of plan. So the executive board met earlier this month, and we kind of discussed some of the things about putting this together, and this is kind of the results of that meeting and going from there. So I guess maybe we should start with the budget, and then we can kind of talk about the plan therefore after. But so if you look at the budget, we kind of broke things down somewhat similarly to last year's budget. Last year was an interesting year in that we had no idea what to expect as far as what our fundraisers would do or anything like that. And so while we were conservative with some of our numbers, there were some things that didn't perform the way that we had hoped. There were some things that overperformed as well. So when we kind of looked at that, I've kind of adjusted for the most part to kind of leave stuff. There were some things that were in the same category where one really outperformed and another one underperformed. So I kind of averaged those out when we were looking at some of those things, especially when we were talking about the money in. On the corollary, on the money out, I've kind of rounded up so that if expenses go a little further than what we had expected, we can kind of say, okay, well, we're still covered because we budgeted appropriately. There's enough funds there. One of the big takeaways without going line item by line item is that we still are operating. We were operated last year at a deficit. This year, we're actually planning to continue to operate at a deficit to some extent to help us spend down some of our balance. But we're trying to do that conservatively so we don't just throw it all out and things aren't there. One thing that so far we've done is we've always left at least 2 years of dues in the budget. And right now, dues, insurance and dues is about $1,000 a year. So that's worked into the budget. But if you look at the very bottom last line under the blue section there, you'll see that we still have, at the end of this, after all of our spends and our income and everything else, projected income, we should still have over $8,000 still in there, and that still covers 2 years of dues and enough money to keep things going for next year, or additional expenses that we deem are necessary as the group deems through the year going on. If you look at the little pie chart, we've broken it down into a few categories. The green is the teachers and staff grants. And those are things where staff members can come and make requests from us for funds to either help in their classroom or different things. Some of the things that we did last year, we funded some money for Battle of the Books to purchase new books and for awards for that. We did the Seesaw application for the 3rd grade because that was an unexpected cost that they were starting to look at losing that. And was there something else? Summer school, there was a grant for that to help cover some of the costs of summer school tuition. So those are some of the things that have gone into the teacher staff grants. Events, there's money there put aside for some of those things. Some of those, though, while we're investing money, they're bringing money back in at the same time. So, but worst case scenario, it doesn't bring the money back in that we expect. I want to count it as an expense, and we'll see how that pans out. Then we have the operational budget, and we've got some miscellaneous expenses in the insurance and dues in that category in blue. And then in pink, we've got spirit. And spirit really kind of breaks down to school spirit, staff appreciation, 5th grade picnic, and some of those types of things that we have out there as well. Those are just things that we're doing. We're making an investment. We're not expecting anything back, but it's really about building that community and getting something back. Things that we've done with that, it was the 5th grade picnic. We bought the pizza and
T-shirts for
t-shirts
everyone.
For every 5th grader, got a T-shirt to commemorate the event. At Valentine's Day, we did a thing where every student got a pencil with a little note on it. You know, it said that they're appreciated by Petty, and teachers and staff got a little chocolate rose. So for everyone in the building. Those are just some examples of some things we've done. But
Assembly.
those things. Oh yeah, and we had the assembly as well. So we did a fun assembly to kind of break up testing a little bit and have a little bit of something fun for the kids. So those are all things that are covered in those. So that kind of helps give you a visualization of how we're breaking down the expenditures for the budget. One thing that we did this year to help us with the spend down is we increased the amount for teacher grants to help out with new staff. So we recognize that there's going to be a lot of new staff and staff changes this year, and teachers getting new classrooms and things like that. So we thought it would be good to make more money available for that.
Are you guys okay? Do you want to order any food? Or
I think we
Yeah,
can.
yeah.
So if you're on Facebook Live, just
We're
hold
gonna
on. Yeah.
place our order here. No, you're
Okay.
good. So we're gonna do the cheese curds, the cabin curds.
Okay.
And then those 2 kids over there, one of them is gonna have chicken tenders.
Okay, with the fries.
Yep, and side of ranch.
Gotcha.
And Kate, you wanted the chicken Caesar? Yeah,
Grilled or crispy?
crispy, right? Yeah, and what? Yeah, I said that already. Yeah. And then no onion on that wrap.
Okay, so the chicken Caesar, crispy,
Yep.
and no onion.
Yep.
Fries okay?
Yeah, good. And then he and I. Okay, sorry. He and I are gonna.
For anyone on Facebook Live, here's the plan.
I've been. That's what I've been showing us the whole time. He and I are gonna split the 14-inch.
We do have people watching, so thanks. If you want to come on out, we're here at the Lodge in Antioch. They graciously lent us this room. $1.50 Miller and Coors. All you can eat wings.
Side salad.
Come on out.
You want those kind of first with the curds?
Yeah,
So.
that's great. Thank you.
All right, I get that back to you.
Thanks for your patience, guys.
Good thing we're an informal group.
Thank you.
I think they might have just stepped away for a minute. So, yeah,
Cool. Does he want water or more milk?
water, please.
Water, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you for asking.
You can.
I'll wait for
Okay.
her to come back. Because we've seen the plan, so it's better to talk it out to those that are here. So we'll continue in just a minute. All right. So anyways, going back, increase the teacher grants. We're expecting there to be a higher need or demand for that this year, hopefully, because that would be a good way to spend through some of our balance that we have and do it conservatively, but get it into the right hands. So we've kind of accounted for that. There are some additional costs that we've talked about in the past that are not included in this budget, but those are things that we can look at as we move on. Things that have been raised to my attention are possibly getting a new mascot costume, as I think the Bobcat is getting a little long in the tooth, pun intended. And also looking at new spirit trophies for the monthly powwows. We've got some things going on there that are, again, pretty aged and need some replacing, so maybe those are some things we can look at there. Playground additions are things that we've talked about in the past, but until we get the playground in, who knows what they would need, but that's always something that I think the group kind of considers and thinks about. We've talked about tributes to the retired staff and trying to find out a way to work with that, so that's something we've talked about in the past that might come back up. And then the other thing is maybe some outdoor digital signage for the building, and that's just something, those are items that have come up. They're nothing tied to, but those are things that have kind of been floated out there that haven't gone anywhere. So that's kind of the budget. Does anyone have any questions, thoughts, comments on this budget at this point in time?
Nope.
So then we will go ahead and move to the backside where we'll talk about the high level plan. So I will say, I tried to figure out the best way to kind of lay this out so we could kind of see at a high level what we were looking at, what we were thinking about, and how this would kind of all go through. To give you a bit of background, the red X's are days off of school. Now, I don't think I have every one on there, but I have some of the major ones on there. The M's are the meeting days, and for the most part, we're meeting on the proposed idea is to meet on the first Wednesday of the month. On those, there's some where we wouldn't do that, like in January, because the first Wednesday of the month is the second, and we're still on break. So we've just kind of moved that back to the second Wednesday of the month. So there's some things there. We have some of the dates on here. You'll see like Scoopy, where we have that in. That's kind of represents Scoopy night. Don't know the exact date yet. That's kind of where we're targeting for. And so I wasn't going to put one little square box on there just to say it's that week. And what we would kind of handle it at that point in time. You'll see that for like Scoopy night, restaurant. I think bowling is that way, and some of the other things that we have going on. Even pastries with parents, I think I have it slotted for 4 days. We would figure out what days we would like to do that during that period of time. We would look at having spirit wear sales 3 times. We would start one in August before school starts and run that through the early part of September and have that going. Then we would do another one probably from about Thanksgiving or right just before Thanksgiving through December, or middle of December, early December for holiday purchases, anybody that wants to use them for Christmas or whatever other holiday. And then we would do one towards the end of the year, probably when we get back from spring break in early April, to kind of close out the year with that.
Do you want to just go chronologically then?
Sure. So looking in August, we have decided we are going to do a website. I've started the website. Once we get some of the details from this down, we can go ahead and start populating that with some information, and we'll go ahead and launch that. So the idea is very early August, we will launch our website. If we can, August 1st would be great, but we'll see how quickly I can get that populated. But I've made pretty good progress with it so far, as some of the board members have seen a draft of it. It's something that we can go with, and we're going with a free website this time around that's through Google, and we'll see how it meets our needs, and we can leverage it, and if we outgrow it, we'll just do something bigger and better. But it should be nice and easy to use and to move on to other groups as time goes on. Then in the stars, we've got some dates that are kind of like special days of school. So like we have back to school night and the first day of school listed in August. You'll see Spirit Wear starts up in August as well. I don't have a meeting scheduled for August. If we decide we want one, we can talk about that. But this one's getting close to August anyways, so I think maybe this this suffices to get us started, and then we can just meet up on that first Wednesday in September. Then as we go into September, we're still continuing on with the Spirit Wear, and then you'll see on the 10th and 12th, those are curriculum nights. So hopefully we'll want to have a presence at those back to school nights as well. We'll want to have a presence at, to have a table to help staff and try to get people signed up and learn about us, and have a flyer that they can take home that gives them information about how to find our website and things like that. Then in September, we were hoping to maybe have a DQ ice cream social night, kind of like a Scoopy night where we go out there and people come for a certain period of time. Hopefully maybe we'll get some fundraising from that. We talked about that in September, and I can reach out if we agree to that and go from there. Then in October, looking at a Scoopy night in the middle of the month, and then we're thinking about bringing back Boo Bash. And we can get into that in a little bit more detail, but doing that around I think it's the third week of October there, second, third week, whatever, how that works out. I think the weekend is the 19th there is that I put it, so I think I put it like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, just to kind of say, well, this weekend would have Boo Bash of some sort on there. Then in November, there's not much going on until we get towards the end, and conferences and book fair kind of run at the same time. That's already booked. And we would also do Spirit Wear at the same time. Then we run into break, and then we come back in early December. We finish up Spirit Wear, and then we've talked about doing one of the Santa shops or North Pole shop or whatever they're called with there. And we can maybe coordinate our Spirit Wear, hopefully maybe to have that back in time, and also to maybe do a Scripps gift card order drive at that point in time and do that in there as well. There's some other ideas that we had. I'm kind of rewinding back to the book fair a little bit. We talked about doing some kind of like auctions or raffles. I think raffles is probably more appropriate. So instead of auctioning off baskets, we would do where you have the baskets lined up and people can buy tickets and then put tickets in during that period of time. And maybe some of those items might be a little bit more kid themed or a little bit more fun themed or whatever, aimed at things that they would be interested in, as compared to maybe some of the ones that were aimed towards parents, like 18 holes of golf. Well, maybe we wouldn't do that one for this kind of an event, but we can go from there. So then we're on break at the end of December, and we wanted to reprise the bowling event we did last year over break. That seemed to be a very big success, considering people got turned away at the door because they just couldn't keep up. So we're going to make some changes to that, but we're looking to do that over break as well and make that a better event. In January, then we can start off the break. We do our meeting about a week later than we would have because of break, and then we look at having maybe a restaurant event. And whatever restaurant we decide to choose, we can try to do that. In the past, we've done things like Antioch Pizza. That's what I'm kind of considering a restaurant event. And we can look and see what restaurants we want to choose to do that with. And so those are just kind of generic, and we can figure out who fits in that slot. At the end of January, you'll see we've got movie with a red X in there. That doesn't mean we don't want to have the movie. We'd like to do the movie event at Antioch Theater that we did over spring break, but maybe do it on the Monday holiday that we have that time instead, because a lot of people go away on spring break. I think that's why we saw kind of a dip down in the movie event that we had. So maybe if it's just the back part of a 3-day weekend, that might lead us to some better times. Plus, in January, what else are you going to do? Go see a movie. In February, we've got our meeting, and then early in the month, we'd like to roll with pastries with parents. We'll probably be doing 2 days that this time around, because we had so many people we had to cut off registration last year. So hopefully we have kind of that same problem, but we'll do it over 2 days, and hopefully then we can accommodate everyone, and maybe parking and other logistical nightmares don't come up from that. So we've got that. Then also looking at maybe doing some kind of spirit week. I don't know if that would be in February or not. This is an idea that we've been toying around with, where maybe we can tie in some of our spirit activities and do something with that. And maybe we look at, if we're going to do another assembly, we do that assembly at the end of that spirit week. go from there. So that's the thought there. That could maybe have to move or change or whatever. When we did the assembly this last year, it was at the very beginning of May, which kind of worked out well with testing. So I could also see this go into April, but at the same time, you don't want to piggyback onto the ABC countdown that they normally do at the end of the year. So that's where we're at there. We'll also look at doing another restaurant week in there as well. That would be a good time to do it towards the end of February. Then in March, we've got another meeting. We do our second Scoopy night. That's about the same time that we did it last year, so hopefully that would work out. And then at the end of the month, spring break. Get back from spring break, we would do spirit wear. And not a ton of stuff at the end of April, but the idea is if we can't fit something in earlier, we can always bump it back to that time. And then in May, you'll see we have Staff Appreciation Week listed on there with a meeting in there, and then another restaurant week. And then at the end of the year, we would have the 3 stars there. Our last day of school is on the 28th. Tentatively, this is my guess, is that the 27th or 26th. Either one of those might be 5th grade picnic and or field day. I'm just guessing, just to kind of say those are things that traditionally require some level of support in going through there. And then one last thing to note on that main meeting on the 6th, that's when we will have elections for the following year board. So that's kind of all listed in the little notes that I have down at the bottom. Ideas for the restaurant, I know we talked about, I kind of mentioned that in there. Some ideas that we had were maybe doing one at McDonald's. We've heard good things about that. We've talked about the Latte Cafe. I think I have it listed as TLC still. But the Latte Cafe, maybe do a morning one. We've heard interest about Mr. G's doing one. There's talk about maybe doing one at Tony Cornicone's, maybe here at the Lodge. Another one that I thought of while I was typing this up is we could always see if maybe Vegas Cafe would be interested in doing one. But that's open to canvassing, going out, talking to people to see who would be willing to do one and see what's the best fit for us. But we're trying to think outside of the box and come up with new ideas compared to what we see everybody else doing right now. All right. Any questions on that before we dig into the next topic, which is Boo Bash? That's kind of our big event for the year. Some ideas that were raised for Boo Bash would be doing a trunk or treat for that, and maybe that's something that happens out in the parking lot type thing, hopefully weather permitting, which could be something fun. We talked about having games and maybe doing tickets or wristbands similar to like a carnival, where they can do that and use that to play with. We talked about maybe having a cake walk as part of it, or a treat walk, or something like a cookie walk, whatever you want to do there. Having a costume contest, obviously if we're calling it Boo Bash and we're having it in October, I think that a lot of people would like to wear their costumes, I think the kids would, so that's something there. One thing that people did like from our spring event was having the dance, so we could look at having a DJ, possibly maybe have both gyms in play for this, or I guess the multi-purpose room and gym at that point in time, so we could look at doing that. Maybe having a bouncy house. I think we would look to have food. One thought that I had for that is maybe we could do food trucks or something like that, or look and see if we can talk to a local restaurant or something like that that might want to come in and cater it and do that for us. And they charge whatever it is, and we just get a little cut of it. You know what I mean? And then that takes some of that off of our plate. It's thought. Those are things that we can look at there. Am I missing anything for what we talked about with Boo Bash?
Yes.
Okay. So obviously with all of this, we're going to need people to step up and volunteer. It would be ideal if we could have some people say, hey, look, I'm really interested in this. I would love to help out, and say, hey, for Boo Bash, I'll organize the games. And say, I'll own that portion of it. And I'll do this, or I'll do that. And I think that will help make things much more manageable this year, if we can try to find some time. And so that way it's not everybody doing so many people doing certain things. People have their ownership areas, and you can kind of go through that. That's kind of how we'd like to see some of this stuff go through. But does anybody have any questions, thoughts, or concerns for the high-level plan? All right. I will say I did send this off to Joanna Gerritsen, and she didn't have any immediate concerns, questions, or anything like that. After our meeting, there were a number of items that I followed up with her to try to get some more information. I talked about asking if I could get onto a staff meeting to address their group and kind of introduce ourselves, say, hey, look, we're going to have the support and everything else. It sounds like their early meetings are a little booked, so she said she'll let me know the minute that they can give me the time to come in and do that. So probably won't be their first one, but probably won't be the first couple. It'll get in there eventually.
Together some type of letter.
Yes, I did say that I'd like to do that, and you can send a letter out to all the staff, or send it to her, and she'll send it to the staff, and letting them know about the new website. We're going to dedicate an area for the teachers and staff to go and find new information and make their requests, things like that. So we're hoping the website will help us with that as well. One thing that we talked about is, especially through the early nights where we have back to school night, we've got the curriculum, the 2 curriculum nights, is that we really want to try to get as many people to sign up for our Facebook group or our email list, things like that. So one thought that I had, and I ran this past Joanna, and it seemed like this could be a goal, is that we say anybody that signs up for our mailing list and commits to say, I will help with the boosters for 1 hour out of the course of the year. Any hour, any task, whatever it is. They would get entered into a raffle, and we would raffle off 4 front row seats at each concert. So if you committed early at one of those early school year nights, you would get entered into it, and we'll do it there. The dates haven't been released yet, so once we get the dates released, we can figure out how to break that up. So I don't know if it's going to be grade level, if they're going to do villages kind of like Hillcrest did, or what, but we'll figure that part out, and we'll make it work out. So we'll make sure that we're asking what grade level they're in, or whatever it is, and work on that to do that. But I think that's a way to help us build that base, because that's one thing I really want to see us grow, is get people so that they make sure that they're getting the information that we're putting out there, and all that. So that's a thought with that. I know Joanna was hoping to try to come here tonight, but her and the new assistant principal, who was possibly going to come tonight as well, they had a conference or something today, and so they weren't sure if they'd be back in the area in time to make it. So they're going to try, but I'm guessing that didn't happen. So there's that. Am I missing any of the other big things from that? I guess not. There probably were some other smaller items that we had talked about as the executive board group, but it seems like it's pretty much move forward basis, and the other stuff, is out there. I mean, obviously, some of the other things that we talked about for the teachers, and these are things that maybe we could help with a little bit, is by helping them set up Amazon wish lists for their classrooms if they need things. Or there's, what's that called? Donors Choose, their website. I've seen some teachers do that already, and we can help them, say if somebody needs something for the classroom, they want flexible seating, for example, they can go out there and put that on there, and then, we can help promote that and help them try to find funds for that as well, especially if it doesn't fit with one of our grants or things like that. So we'll help them do that, and maybe part of that is helping them set that up too.
And helping set up their classrooms as well.
We talked about maybe trying to offer, if we can help organize some of our members to go in and help the teachers set up their classrooms during their, their professional days or whatever it is they have there. So those are things that we'll kind of communicate to them in that letter that we talked about, getting out to all of them. And I know some of that is a little bit more challenging, especially when people don't know who their teacher is. But hopefully when those letters go out, people start learning who those teachers are, they'll start going, and maybe we can get those lists, like if it's an Amazon wish list or whatever, we can get those things pulled together. And in time for it. You know, and I know some of the teachers and staff in the past have expressed like, well, I don't want to make a wish list and then ask for this or whatever. They're a little gun shy about doing that for themselves. But if we do it on their behalf, that might be a little bit more manageable, palatable for them, and still helps them get the start to the school year that they need. So with that being said, any other questions, thoughts, or concerns? Anything else that you've thought of or think of that maybe we should be thinking about? Questions if we've thought about it or anything like that? Because otherwise what I'd like to do is say, this is the high level plan. Do we agree with it? And then if so, we can start working on it. That doesn't mean that things can't change. Things are going to change. I know that's going to happen. We're going to have dates that change. We're going to have things that don't pan out. But this is just kind of, we got to start somewhere and kind of go from there. So,
Okay.
all right. Looking around, anyone? Bueller? All right. Well, that being said, I'll make a motion. Do we want to approve this plan and budget?
A motion to approve the budget and plan.
Okay.
Yep.
Second?
Yep.
All right. All in favor?
Yeah.
Aye.
Yeah.
Any opposed? All right. Has anybody commented on Facebook at all?
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay.
So, Amy Turner said February has a friendship spirit week.
Okay.
So maybe you guys can all tie it all. We can tie it all together.
We can figure it out, and we can work together or whatever it's going to be. But
And
It's an
then
idea, yeah.
and then Melissa Smith offered to help with setting up donors' shoes
okay.
for teachers. And I believe that is the only comments we had. So
Okay.
yep.
Great. Well, hopefully, we're going to continue to do the Facebook Live this year. I think our meetings are pretty much going to be the same as they were last year. I know not everybody can make those, but with the Facebook Live,
We're gonna try the.
or we might try YouTube Live
Okay.
to see if that helps out for people that aren't on Facebook. I have to experiment with that yet still, so we'll see. But we're still going to have some kind of streaming or some kind of video capture to go back for people with this. So hopefully people find this still an accessible way to be in touch whether you're here or not. We'll try to get out materials ahead of time for people to review and go from there so they kind of know what's going on. But we're trying to keep it as inclusive as we can. With everybody's schedules, I know it's impossible to meet everyone's needs, so we're just going to do the best we can. So as always, I guess we can kind of just wrap up the Facebook Live portion of this, but thank you for coming and attending. We'll work on this. Look for more information about our website coming up. Look for more information on some of these things. And if you ever have ideas, thoughts, questions, concerns, please feel free to reach out to us, and we'll go through with that. So thank you all.
Thank you.